and happy Wednesday, July 13th, 2022, and welcome to a brand new edition of what we like to call the Clash of Champions. I am your host, the vegan you believe in, Kirk Cadet, in the flesh as always, and this man needs no introduction, but he'll give you one anyway.
Absolutely, is his tag team partner none other than Jonathan Randall himself. And wow, Curry got a little French there, champion in there. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our brand new episode of the Clash of Champions, and we have a lot to get into as always. We had a shockingly stellar Money in the Bank pay per view not too long ago here in Las Vegas, and we'll get down to that.
But yes, let's first start off with the latest in the Vince McMahon story that's given us a whole lot to talk about the last month. As if things weren't already kind of sketchy already with this whole story, some more information came out last week in the Wall Street Journal, and it goes like this. WWE's Vince McMahon paid out $12 million in settlements to suppress allegations of sexual misconduct and infidelity over the past 16 years, people familiar say. In another deal, a WWE contractor presented the company with unsolicited nude photos of McMahon she reported receiving from him and alleged that he had sexually harassed her on the job. People familiar say. McMahon agreed to pay her roughly $1 million. And in another agreement, a former manager who had worked 10 years for McMahon before he allegedly initiated a sexual relationship with her was paid $1 million to keep quiet about it. People familiar say.
Wow.
And there was also another story where apparently there was this girl who was being pushed around the 2005 period, and then when she stopped having a sexual relationship with Vince, she stopped being pushed, and her contract was not renewed.
Oh wow! And there is no name. It's just they just say just a woman.
Yeah, they haven't given any names to any of these, but if I had to take a guess on the girl who they're talking about that was getting pushed and stopped being pushed, and her contract wasn't renewed, I would have to say it's maybe Christy Hemme.
I was just getting ready to the same thing because I remember she had a little bit of a push in 2005, and then I remember I think after the summer I didn't she really wasn't kind of like in the big picture as much earlier in that year. So that is a good take.
Yeah, because I remember she was in the women's title match at WrestleMania. I mean, I know Lita was hurt. That's the main reason why they put her in, but still. And she had
Yeah,
and she
yeah,
was getting some decent TV time. But then I remember they moved her to SmackDown, and then after they moved her to SmackDown, I rarely ever saw her again.
yeah. Wow.
I was thinking maybe Dawn Marie might have been one also, but the reason why she got fired. But the thing was with that story is that she got fired during that period while she was pregnant,
Hmm.
and there was like a big lawsuit and big deal out of that whole thing that was settled out of court.
Wow.
But damn, man, these allegations are crazy, man. $12 million he paid out to all these women not to say anything.
This is getting out of hand, man. It's just more and more stuff is coming up, just like any other scandal with any celebrity. You know what I mean? Um, it's not a surprise that stuff like this happens because it happens all the time. I mean, you look back at the Bill Cosby situation. It was like week after week there was new information coming up with with Deshaun Watson.
And the Harvey Weinstein guy.
Yeah, like Deshaun Watson. Like more and more stuff is coming up. Even now, even though he's with a new team now, like every there was another scandal was coming up about him like a couple weeks ago to the point where the NFL's thinking about suspending him for a year.
Also, another example of someone who actually just got sentenced to 30 years a couple weeks ago, R. Kelly. Look at
Oh,
this.
Kelly,
Look at all
yeah,
the stories
yeah,
that came out about that one. Holy shit.
yeah, yeah. Oh, wow, it's just I don't know, man. I'm just curious about what's going to be the ending result of this whole thing.
I don't know because I mean, if he used company money to give out all these payments, then that's a bad look.
Obviously,
And not to mention
but
the fact that he was like apparently forcing himself on these chicks, and also like threatening their job and threatening their job security if they didn't do what he wanted. Yeah, that's bad. Like somebody, in all honesty, I mean this. Somebody who would do that kind of shit does not need to be in power. Period. Whether you're Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, And now you can tell, like, when you go back and watch a lot of this stuff and you see like the diva search stuff from back in the day, which like a lot of these stories are kind of like centered around that
Mm.
period. You can tell that, like, Laurinaitis and Vince have like similar taste in women, and they kind of in a sense think the same and all that bullshit.
Like as far as like what women to pick.
Yeah, like basically the story I always heard going around was that like John Laurinaitis would basically like look for like women in like these magazines, like these revealing magazines, to decide like which women they would want to put on TV and like which women they would want to pursue to be a part of the show.
Okay.
And then I told you a couple months ago about the Ethan Page interview when she was talking about how like they were having meetings, and I think John Laurinaitis was the one holding the meetings about how the women need to dress sexier and dress in more revealing clothing and all that bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think John Laurinaitis got let go initially when he was the head of talent relations because of some kind of incident with one of the girls on the roster, and then they put him back last year after that Mark Carano dude got fired.
Mm.
And the craziest thing is, freaking Laurinaitis was cheating on his wife while she was sick. She had like some kind of cancer or something, and she was cheating. He was cheating on her while that was going on.
Wow. Unbelievable.
It's fucked up, man. Gonna cheat on your wife when she has cancer?
Wow.
I know they probably wouldn't answer the question if they were asked it, but I wonder what the Bellas think about all this.
Mm.
That's their mom.
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously that they'll have they'll be against everything that's going on. Obviously.
I wonder if the mom is gonna leave him now, or if it's gonna come down to that.
Yeah.
She'd be well within her rights.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just curious what the ending result is going to be all about this.
And I'm curious to hear what other stories are gonna come out in the next few weeks, because it doesn't feel like it's over yet. I'm sure probably more allegations
No,
and more
no,
stuff is
no,
probably gonna come out.
no, no, no. Like I said, stuff like this happens all the time. There's always going to be something coming up like this person did this, they did that, they did that. It's like pretty much the whole thing's a domino effect when you think about it. When you have a situation like this, one after another are going to comfortably come out and said, okay, this person did this back then. The whole thing is a domino effect, and I'm not going to be surprised if something else comes out. The only thing I need to say is that yeah, this is a really bad situation. It's a messed up situation, but I'm just curious of what the ending result is going to be.
Yeah, but the more these allegations come out, the worse and worse the company looks.
I think it's already a bad look, regardless. With the stuff that we're hearing,
That's what I'm saying.
I
Like
know the worse it's going to get, but it's still in a bad spot, regardless.
yeah, this is some creepy stuff, man. I mean, for one, if you're a CEO of the company, you can't just like sleep with the random employees like that, even if it is consensual. That shit is not a good look. That shit is not tolerated. And more than anything else, you're trying to force yourself on them and like threatening them their job and all this jazz if they don't do what you want. Like the Rita Chatterton story we talked about on the last episode. It's like, bro, like you
Mhm.
can't do that shit. That shit is fucking wrong.
And also another interesting point that you brought about, is he using the company money? That right there is kind of shady right there because you look back, especially now or last year where they were releasing all these stars because they're all cutbacks and all that stuff. Then it's like, well, that's money you could have been using to pay these certain superstars, especially stars with a lot of potential for the future. So that's like one good point that you bring up. And now, look in hindsight, when you really think about it, it's like, wow, well, that's money that he could have been using you know, for these, certain superstars that they should have kept.
Yeah, and I was hearing this story about this one girl from NXT who got signed by them, and then she had to move her family from Vegas to Orlando, and like yeah, she had to take her daughter
Mm.
out of the school and like put her daughter in a new school, and they had to pretty much throw a monkey wrench in their whole life and move from one side of the country to the other. And then right when she moves to Orlando, like literally right after, she gets a phone call saying that she's been released.
Wow. Wow.
Some bullshit.
All that for nothing.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here, man. The girl pretty much had to shake up her whole life and her whole family's life, and they had to. The daughter had to start a new school, and hell, the daughter was starting the new school, the first day they were gonna go out to dinner and whatnot, and that was the day when she found out that she was released.
Wow.
Damn, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I've said this before, and I'll say this again. I'll always give WWE credit when they do something right, when they do something good and charitable and all that jazz. But I will always criticize and shit on them when they do some foul, grimy shit like this.
Right. Ugh.
But I have to ask you
Mm,
something. Through all of these allegations, through all of these allegations we're hearing about Vince, and also considering how the creative has been pretty much the last like decade plus,
mm.
do you think Vince should step down?
Well, absolutely. Especially at his age, when you think about his age as well. Um, I don't. Yeah, he does. Let's just say this whole thing wasn't going on, right? I still believe that at a certain time you need to step down because you mentioned the creative, and that's not. I mean, at a certain point you got to step down.
Yeah, because I'm not saying it's been all bad. I'm not saying we haven't had some great moments and whatnot, but there's been
Most
a
of it's
lot
been
of
bad.
fuckery.
Most of it's been bad.
Yeah, there's been a lot of fuckery that you just can't ignore, and it's been consistent fuckery at that.
Yeah, it's been like 2080, sometimes 3070 out of it. Yeah,
Yeah, and the comparison I've always heard is that like imagine if Saturday Night Live, the show that's been on for like what almost 50 years now, imagine if they had the
yeah.
same showrunner now that they had when it first started in 1975.
Well, of course not. Well, no. Mm-mm. Obviously, it was a different showrunner throughout the years.
And you could just tell the difference between AEW and NXT before the relaunch of 2.0 bullshit. There was a difference in the way Vince McMahon ran things and the way somebody younger like a Triple H and Tony Khan ran things.
Right, right.
The product just felt cooler when with those dudes and like their direction and their minds for it. The product and like the show itself just had more of a cool feel to it, more of an edge to it, and it was more relatable in a sense.
It was though because they're up to date with things, especially in today. I feel like if you're at a certain age in your life, you're kind of like more aware about what's going on. You're up to date with a lot of things. You know what I mean? I think that's why the NXT brand at the time was okay. This is cool because they know. You know what I mean? Versus 25 plus years ago during the Attitude Era, Vince was Vince was like what was in his 50s during the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was aware about what was going on in the world and all that stuff, and everybody else, he was aware. But times has changed, and he's gotten older now. Maybe he's not, and it happens sometimes to some people, not everybody, but it happens. You know what I mean? But
Another point I wanted to make about the Attitude Era is that the thing with that period was that he didn't decide that shit on his own. He had to be forced into that with the competition with WCW, with like DX pushing the envelope and the way the audience was responding to things. He had to be pushed into doing the Attitude Era stuff.
it was 50-50 because again, you got to remember the TV executives and all that stuff weren't cool with it at first, and then
That's
he
true.
realized like, oh yeah, you know what I mean. So that's kind of like why he was against it at first, because you have to remember some of the stuff that they did. You got to remember the channels were like, look, they're not cool with this, and to the point where if you keep it up, we're gonna pull the plug. So that was a reason. That was one of the reasons why. But once they eased up and saw that okay, people are liking this and the ratings are up, that's when he realized like okay, let's run with what we're doing. So it was a little bit 50-50 when you think about it.
Yeah, but I would say like ever since pretty much ever since they've gone PG, that's pretty much the main period that people always say that this whole thing has gotten worse was like 2008 when they went PG. Like ever since then, it's just been a steady decline, and not to mention the 3 hour Raws.
Yeah, that too, and also you gotta. I think the reason why I put a blame on that behind that is because of the fact you gotta remember at that time and now, look how you do realize WWE has like a lot of sponsorships, right?
Yes, they do.
And corporate is very big on sponsorships, and they're very, no matter what corporation it is, they're very very keen and strict on keeping those sponsorships. That's money that they're losing. So that's like one of the reasons why that they're they're kind of afraid to push the envelope sometimes because like so some sponsorships are going to look at like, look, we don't want to associate with that type of brand. You're doing this, and we're just going to pull away from you. That's money that they're losing. So that's another. It's a lot of corporate stuff that's involved in that.
And speaking of those sponsorships being pulled, it's very possible that a lot of the WWE sponsors now, because of the whole Vince thing, could start pulling their
Yeah,
sponsorships away from them.
yeah,
And
yeah.
this could also affect possibly their TV contracts when they're up for renegotiation.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I was talking about in our last episode. Is because, like damn, like they have like a a big contract with NBC. That's why they jumped. They moved their network to Peacock, and with this whole thing going on, that's why I said that's what I'm saying now. What is gonna? I'm just curious about the ending result because NBC is looking at this situation where like we don't want to be associated with this. NBC is a very big, popular TV entertainment corporation.
Conglomerate.
You know what I mean? That's a big one. They have a
Of course
lot
they
of
are.
deal. Yeah, a lot for the longest time. And you look at the situation, they're like, I don't know. You know what I mean? That's why I'm saying that I'm very curious about the ending result of all of this. I'm very curious how this is all going to end. If it ends in a bad way, it's not going to be good for the company. Not just don't just think about Vince. Don't just think about Vince. Think about the company as a whole.
And I think in general it won't be good for wrestling, period, because for better or worse, WWE sets the tone for the whole industry.
Yeah,
If God forbid WWE went away, that would affect the industry in a major, major way. It would never be the same again.
it would.
Yeah, but the thing is, I've mentioned a few episodes ago, Vince McMahon holds like majority the majority vote in the board of directors. So even if the board of directors wanted to get rid of him and vote him out, they couldn't.
Wow.
They could force him out. They could put pressure on him to resign and put pressure on him to walk away. But until that happens, he's still there.
Wow.
Oh, speaking of which, one of the people on the board of directors resigned last week.
Really?
Yep, right before this story came out.
Huh. Wow.
Shit is crazy, bro. Yeah, it would just be weird to see a WWE without Vince McMahon. That would be very strange.
Just in charge, or are you just like character wise?
In general, if he stepped down completely, like from creative, from CEO, from all that jazz, like if he was not associated with WWE period anymore, that would be weird.
I mean, it happens though. I mean, like, okay, like it's no different from okay, okay. Let me put it this way. Okay, for example, David Stern when he stepped down from the NBA. What was your thought on that?
It was kind of weird because he'd been the commissioner for what 30 years. That's a long time, and Vince has been the owner for 40 years.
Still though, he had to step. He stepped down
Yeah,
because he felt like I've done enough that I did. Somebody else needs to step in, right? Right?
yeah, I feel you, but I just feel like this is a different situation because I feel like Vince McMahon is more of like what you associate with WWE than David Stern would be for the NBA. But I see where you're
Mm,
going at though.
mm,
Vince essentially is a face of WWE to a degree.
I know, but you got to remember when David Stern came into the league, he really kind of like changed the whole league.
That's great. Yeah, Vince and David Stern came into their respective roles around the same time.
That league changed when David Stern came in
Yeah, and WWE and wrestling in general changed big time once Vince took over.
because you got to remember he came in during the '80s, right? And then not too long after that, then Jordan gets drafted, and then then they you know what I mean. So the league changed in a different way. You know what I mean? But all I'm saying is that when he stepped down, it was something that was a personal choice that he had to do. You know what I mean? And that's why you asked me, how would I felt if, creative wise and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, at a certain point, you got to step down. You can't be doing this for the whole entire life. It's not like you're the only McMahon that you have. You have your daughter, you have your son-in-law, you have your son Shane. Shane has his children that maybe they want to have a part of the business as they get older. You know what I mean? So It's no different from Vince Senior. Vince Senior was started this whole thing, and he kind of like gave the keys to Vince. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I've always heard everybody say who knows Vince personally that more than likely he's gonna die at that Sharon Gorilla.
Okay.
Like that's the
Uh,
only way you'll ever get rid
yeah.
of him from that position. It's funny. Vince didn't even appear on TV this time after these new allegations came out. I was seriously
No,
expecting him to come
no,
out. I
no,
was
but
seriously expecting him to come out and do the stanky leg or something or the chicken noodle soup, but no, he didn't make any
no,
appearance at
but
all.
he will no, but he was at that UFC event about a week ago,
Oh, after
last
Money
week.
in the Bank, yeah,
Yeah, after like a week and a half
right
ago,
after
he
the
was.
show.
Yeah, he was at the UFC fight.
And I think we talked about this a few episodes ago. Like Vince and Linda aren't really together anymore.
How long has that been?
They're still legally married, but apparently they don't live in the same house anymore. And
Separated then.
yeah, they haven't been to. Yeah, apparently they haven't been together for a long time, maybe almost a decade.
Oh, long time. Oh, what?
Yeah, like I feel like their marriage is more for show these days. That's the story that's been going around.
Oh, I did not know that. That's why I was curious. I asked you, I was like, how long was this going on? Is that
You
a
never know.
decade? Wow.
You never know, bro. People, a lot of people stay married legally all the time just to keep up appearances, but in reality, they're doing some other shit.
I know. I know.
Yeah, but as far as the creative aspect, yeah, after watching SmackDown the last few weeks and whatnot, I wouldn't mind if Vince stepped down. No honesty.
No, no, you need to.
Yeah, SmackDown's been so ass lately, especially with the new LA Knight's new gimmick that he's doing with he's like freaking running like a runway fashion show with these two other dudes who and all this bullshit. And he's like saying this dude is wearing these nice glasses from France and all this and whatever the fuck he said, like a modernized model Rick Martel type shit.
Good lord.
It's like, bro, they had that segment on last Friday. I fast forwarded like after a minute. I'm like, yo, I can't do this. I can't do this.
Oh god, I don't know what's worse, that or the some of the maybe the what happened after Money in the Bank,
I'll say this much: Raw's still not great, but there's at least parts of it I can tolerate. But
right?
SmackDown has just been so ass for months. Ever since the draft they did like last October, yeah, SmackDown's been consistently bad.
Yeah, just took a fall. It's like a fall of grace, sadly, because I just remember what 2 years ago, year and a half ago, you were just giving SmackDown all of its praise for how good the show is.
Yeah, like when Roman first turned heel, when they had Sasha and Bailey a part of the show, and yeah, the
Uh,
Usos and Ray and Dominic
no,
and Rollins was still on the show, Edge was still on the show, and all this. Yeah, like I would say, like
mhm,
about even a year ago, like around this time last summer, SmackDown was still solid, but not anymore.
no.
Yeah, but whatever it is, what it is. But miraculously, despite the horrible television we have been seeing on SmackDown specifically the last few months, and in some cases Raw, WWE has been putting out some pretty solid pay per views. And one of those pay per views happened about a week and a half ago, and that was Money in the Bank, which took place from Las Vegas. And I have to
Mhm.
say it was a good. And I have to say it was a good show.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a very good show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So let's run down this card real fast. So in the opening match, we had the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which featured Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Lacey Evans, Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi, and Liv Morgan.
And if Morgan won,
Yes, Liv Morgan won the Money in the Bank. She was the one I picked who I wanted to win, but I didn't think she would. But to my
mhm,
surprise, she got the briefcase and won the match.
yes,
The match itself was okay. There were certain parts that where like you could tell they messed up and that it didn't go the way it was supposed to. Shotzi Blackheart specifically got a lot of criticism online for that, which we'll get into a little later. But yeah, there were certain parts of the match that felt a little sloppy, but overall it was fine. And considering how the match ended and who won it, I couldn't complain.
mm.
And in the next match for the United States Championship, we had Fury defending against Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, and Bobby Lashley won. We all thought that assumed that John Cena will make an appearance, but no, Bobby Lashley won by submission.
Yes, he won with the Hurt Lock to win the United States Championship for the third time. To a great reaction, and
Yeah.
now and considering that Roman's not on Raw or like really around as much anymore, it's good that Raw at least has like one solid like babyface champion right now, being Lashley.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the match itself was good. The match itself was very fun.
In her next match, Bianca Belair defended her Raw Women's Championship against Carmella. And in this match, we all knew what was going to happen. Bianca Belair retained her title.
Yes, that is exactly what happened. Bianca retained with the KOD, but she was attacked by Carmella afterwards, and Carmella did beat her by countout this past Monday on Raw
Yeah.
in a non-title match.
Hmm.
So it looks like we might be getting this match again at SummerSlam, possibly, maybe with even Becky getting put into it also.
Like I said, that thing is not over between Becky and.
Yeah, Becky and Bianca. Yeah, I agree. It's not over, but it's too bad that Rhea Ripley has having her issue right now.
Yeah.
Apparently, she posted a picture of herself the other day wearing like a heart murmur.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was because I looked at it and I was like, oh, she's just taking a picture, but I kind of like briefly ignored what was on her chest, and I was reading reports on what it was. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, apparently she might have
I was like, oh
some kind of heart problem.
man, oh she's okay though, man. But oh man,
Yeah, I hope she gets back soon because, yeah, for one, for her own health, for her own well being, and also I was
hmm
really looking forward to that feud. Her and Bianca, I was really looking forward to that feud.
yeah, 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 me too.
I was seeing a comment online the other day, which was pretty interesting about both of Bianca's title reigns.
Yeah,
Both of them have been hurt by the fact that like a lot of her opponents during those title reigns have gotten injured randomly or didn't show up for a match randomly.
okay. So
If you think of her,
Sasha is a prep.
yeah, like if you,
Sasha from last year.
yeah, if you think of her title reign from last year, like she was supposed to go against
Yeah.
Bailey at Money in the Bank, and then Bailey got hurt. SummerSlam, she was supposed to go against Sasha, and then Sasha wasn't there for whatever reason. And now this title reign, she was supposed to go against Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley's having her issue, and it's kind of making it feel a little cold right now.
Wow.
Because no disrespect to Carmella,
Wow.
no disrespect to Carmella. Carmella's great. She actually doesn't get enough credit, but just realistically, you don't expect her to beat Bianca for the belt.
No, no. Respectfully, yeah.
Yeah, but Bianca retains, so we move on for the Unified Tag Team Championships, and which was in many people's opinion, mine included the match of the night. We had the Usos defending against the Street Profits.
Yeah, we thought there'll be some controversy. Well, it ended controversially though, but we all thought maybe they'll get disqualified and we'll continue to lead on. But the Usos retain their title by pinfall.
Yes, they won the match after hitting the 1D on Montez Ford, but the thing was Montez Ford had his shoulder up as the pin was going down, but the referee did not see it. So
Ah,
I was half right in this whole scenario where I said that there was going to be some kind of controversial finish where they stretched the match out for another month. So technically, I was right because it went down this way, and it was announced last Friday that they will be doing the rematch at SummerSlam.
mm,
But all in all, good ass fucking match. This match was a prime example of how good the tag team division in WWE could be if they actually gave a shit about it.
yeah. And I think you think honestly, the Usos really just hold that or trying their best to hold that weight in that division.
They've been pretty much doing it for the last year. They've been the champions for a year this weekend. This weekend will be 1 year since they won the belts, the SmackDown belts at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, other than the Usos, the Street Profits, and I guess the New Day and Alpha Academy, what other tag teams are there really in WWE right now that are worth mentioning?
Yeah. I think one thing they should do to make it serious, change their belts.
Yeah, those belts are ugly as fuck. Both of them are.
Yeah, change the belts, please. Like, come on. Like,
And the Intercontinental belt too. That shit can go also.
go, change the tag belts how it was back in the '80s and early '90s. Like, please do that.
Even the Ruthless Aggression tag belts were fine. They weren't better than
Yeah,
those, but they were still fine. I'll take those over
yeah,
this bullshit.
absolutely.
Yeah, but great match. We're gonna have the rematch at SummerSlam, which I'm looking forward to. But the only thing is, I think the outcome of that match will be telling of what the future of the Street Profits will be.
Mm. So it's kind of like a do or die situation for them.
Yeah, because there's been all this talk for like a while about how Montez Ford is going to be the breakout star of the team and how he's a future WWE champion and how
Right.
he's going to be like a big star in a couple years. And
Right.
Angelo Dawkins apparently has been getting pissed off at this talk, and he's been saying like, "Yo, I'm somebody you need to take notice of." Also, and in all honesty,
Hmm.
he proved that in this match. In this match, he definitely proved that he's not somebody you should be ignoring. Also, do I
No,
think he'll be as big of a star as Montez whenever they do split? I don't think so, but I could be wrong. But I will agree the dude definitely deserves a lot more respect than he has been getting.
I agree.
Yeah, but I do think if the Street Profits do not win at SummerSlam, I do think that's going to be the beginning of the end for them as a team.
Oh boy, we'll see what happens. It's a do or
Yes,
die
we will.
situation.
Yes,
Right.
but good ass match though. 23 minutes and they killed it. I guess they've been
Mm.
watching the AEW tag division and realized that yo, we got to show them what time. We got to show them what we can do.
Yeah.
That's one thing I will say AEW has over WWE is their tag team division, hands down. And for the SmackDown Women's Championship, we had Ronda Rousey defending against Natalia, in which Ronda retained by submission. But the real story in this whole scenario took place after this match.
Yes. We wasn't expecting this though, but Liv Morgan decides to cash in her Money in the Bank briefcase successfully, and she won.
Yes, she did. After Ronda put her in the ankle lock, Liv Morgan reversed it into a roll up and got the pin. And shockingly, Liv Morgan is the SmackDown Women's Champion. Only the third
Wow.
woman in WWE to pin Ronda Rousey.
Wow. A good moment for Liv Morgan. That just that whole night. You go through a grueling ladder match, you win the briefcase, and then the same night you cash in and you win.
Yeah, it was a great moment, man. I become a real big fan of hers over like the last year and a half, I would say. And I wasn't like I said, I wasn't expecting her to win the Money in the Bank, but then when she did, I was like, damn, good shit.
Yeah.
For her to cash in on the same night and get the belt and have that moment, yo, you can't get any higher than that.
Right.
And Ronda shook her hand and hugged her afterwards and gave her the sign of respect. And it seems like they're doing a rematch at SummerSlam between the two of them.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was already announced. Yeah.
Yes, and I heard apparently this was Ronda Rousey's idea to do this, to have Liv Morgan beat her for the belt.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, her photographer, like I think Ronda Rousey's photographer, was talking about this, and he mentioned that yeah, that was like the one person she wanted to drop the belt to because she felt that Liv deserved it, and also Ronda never even wanted to be the women's champion in the first place,
No.
and also didn't want to be a
Hmm.
babyface for that matter.
Would you expect maybe leading into SummerSlam that Ronda will turn heel?
Maybe before, or if not, possibly at
Ah,
SummerSlam.
okay.
Do you think Liv Morgan is gonna have a long title reign? In all honesty,
It depends on how this plays out.
because I've been hearing that like at the house shows over the weekend, she was getting some really good reactions, and
Yeah.
she was also selling a lot of merch too.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see how it goes in the next few weeks. Maybe she'll build up enough momentum where they might want to keep the belt on her longer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree.
That is at least until Charlotte comes back.
Right. But until then, she has the spotlight now.
It's funny. I heard of another plan. Supposedly they were going to do originally before Liv won the Money in the Bank, or they decided to have Liv win Money in the Bank.
What was that?
They were gonna have Becky win and then have a match with Bianca at SummerSlam and lose, and then cash in the Money in the Bank and then also lose to like kind of continue like her downward spiral depression storyline they have going on with her.
What? No. Oh my god.
Yeah, I wouldn't have liked that much either.
Oh, that's just doing too much. There's just so many hurdles and coming up short. Oh, there has to be some light in all of this. Come on.
There will be eventually. That was the thing they were gonna do this storyline. So like she would eventually turn
Oh
babyface, and then she would go against Ronda at WrestleMania next year.
God.
But I'm happy they did it this way instead. I was happy that Liv
Yeah.
got to win the belt.
Thank
I don't know
you.
how long the title reign is going to be, but even if it's not a long one, they can never take that night away from her. Never.
Oh hell no. No.
But you know what's funny? Out of all the women's
But
Money in the Bank winners, Carmella was the only one to hold it for longer than one day.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Money in the Bank winners for the women, they either cash in that night or they cash in the next day.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, that Liv Morgan's reign doesn't end up like Nikki Ash's reign did last year, like where she held it for a month and then after she lost it, it was just she was just like right back to doing what she was doing before.
No, but let's just, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's see how this whole thing plays out. You know what I mean? Like you said, she's been getting good reactions at house shows, and she's selling good merchandise. I let's see how this goes. And with you saying that, it kind of looks like it's in a good direction.
And that women's division is gonna need more stars, like especially now that Sasha and Naomi are pretty much gone now. They're gonna need new
Yeah,
stars and new top people.
yeah, yeah. Oh
And in the
God.
main events for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, we had Drew McIntyre, Madcap Moss, Omos, Riddle, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, Sheamus, and added to the match at the last minute, Theory.
I don't know how the hell they came up with this BS. You're gonna add somebody into the match. Like how? Like what was I just didn't understand the concept of that. I don't know.
I mean, it's happened before. I mean, one memorable instance where it happened was at WrestleMania 33 when the Hardys were added to the tag title match at the last minute.
I know, but
And a few Money in the Banks ago when Brock Lesnar showed up into the match at the last minute and ended up winning it.
oh, oh yeah.
But yeah, I should have known when Theory lost the U.S. title earlier in the show that something was up. And then when they put him in when they put him in the match at the last minute, I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna win it now.
Oh, oh my god.
But it was a fun match
Oh man.
overall. The match was great. Everybody did their thing in the match, but ultimately, Theory ended up grabbing the briefcase, and now Theory is the new Mister Money in the Bank.
Hmm.
What did you think of this?
Wasn't expecting this at all. Him coming into the added to the match. I mean, were just dead straight on. Drew McIntyre was going to win. It didn't happen, and we have this. And yeah, I was shocked. I think honestly, because I was really asking myself this question when it happened. I thought honestly it was a bit rushed to put Theory in the spotlight. Honestly, because they're still developing him, and I feel like if this was next year, then I would have been like, okay. But I felt like, dude, he's still, like he's being developed right now. And I think it was a bit rushed to put him in a spotlight, honestly.
Yeah, fans online were pissed off about this. They were wilding
Oh
out,
yeah, oh yeah,
losing their mind,
oh
losing
yeah.
their shit over this whole thing.
Threatening
And
to, I'm not gonna watch this no more. I'm
calm
like,
the, I'm like, calm the fuck down. It's not that serious,
yeah, but
bro. This is the way I look at it.
yeah.
I don't have a problem with Theory being Mr. Money in the Bank because he is somebody they're trying to build. He is somebody they're trying to bring to that next level. So Money in the Bank is a perfect way of doing that. The only problem I had with this whole thing is that when they announced Theory was going to be in the match at the last minute, that took away like the unpredictability of the match.
Hmm.
Because going into the match, there was like you could like tell by the participants that it was like a possibility that there was at least like 3 or 4 different people you could have picked that could have
Right.
won the match.
Right.
But then when they announced Theory at the last minute, that took all that away. They took all that unpredictability away from it. So like when Theory got the briefcase at the end, it's kind of like you saw it coming. Like it wasn't as much of a surprise as like Liv winning it was.
I still feel like it's rushed. I feel like he's not. He's almost there, but not yet. Just wait, just a little bit longer. Build him up a little bit more.
I don't think he's gonna cash it in like just this second. I mean, he's starting
No,
to tease that'll probably
hell
cash it in at
no,
SummerSlam, but
no, no. He better not. No. Mm-mm. You better wait as long as you can. Matter of fact, do what Seth Rollins did. Wait damn near almost a year and then cash in. Not saying to cash in at Mania, but I'm just saying wait. You know what I mean?
I actually heard Jason Salomon pull out a scenario of how that could of that possibly playing out about how, let's say when Cody comes back, he's the person to finally beat Roman for the belt at WrestleMania, and then right after Theory cashes in on him and beats him.
Oh Lord, what another?
Ooh, I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want to see that.
Oh, I'll be pissed.
It would be good heat.
Oh,
Granted, it would be good heat, but
God,
I don't want to see that.
God, I'll be so pissed.
Nah, but Theory's good in his role though. I like Theory.
I do. No, no,
He plays that scum.
I do. I love it. I like it. I just feel like it's a little bit too soon. But okay, it is what it is. But all I'm saying is now moving forward, don't do anything with that briefcase. Keep it as long just throughout the whole year. Just keep it. Okay.
Yeah, I think he should keep it for a while.
Yes.
But and also it was announced on the Raw after that it's gonna be Theory against Lashley again at SummerSlam in a rematch for the United States title. So
Yeah.
that basically puts any rumors of John Cena wrestling at SummerSlam to bed,
Oh,
as now it's gonna be Theory against Lashley.
you know what they should do? They should do what they did back in 2006. They should put Lashley's U.S. title up for grabs and also Theory's Money in the Bank briefcase up for grabs too.
Nah, not necessary. Not necessary.
They should. Why not? Come on. Let kind of play some scenarios, man. Like maybe gives Bobby Lashley an opportunity to get it and put him in a title hunt. Why not?
Because Lashley's already been the champion. He's already been on top. He doesn't need to wrestle this dude for a freaking briefcase.
So you don't want to see Bobby Lashley back in a title hunt after, but before
He
that,
can he can
but
he
before
can still be
that,
in the title hunt, but he just doesn't need the briefcase for that.
oh, I just like the scenario behind it though.
Yeah, but it's just too bad Cena's not going to be at SummerSlam anymore.
I
I
know.
heard apparently the reason why he won't be is because I think the new season of that Peacemaker show is going to be filming during that period, so it's going to
Oh,
interfere.
gotcha.
And it could also possibly be that with the allegations with Vince going on right now, maybe he wants to maybe distance himself.
I feel you.
Yeah, and I was here. My brother played out the scenario for me about Theory at SummerSlam, since it's gonna be Roman and Brock in the last man standing. While
Jesus.
Roman and Brock are both down, Theory comes in and cashes in the Money in the Bank, and then the
No,
referee counts Roman and Brock both out, and he wins the belt.
no, no. I'll be mad if that happened. No, he the briefcase on him throughout this whole year. It is too soon.
I agree. You should keep it for a while.
The whole year. The whole year.
But granted, I'm not that interested in the Roman and Brock match. I feel like they could have definitely done Roman and Lashley. That would have been great too, but it is what it
That's what I'm
is.
saying.
But I feel like
Right.
if that would be their way of trying to make up for giving us Roman and Brock again by having Theory win the title that way, it would not work.
Oh
It
Lord.
would not work.
No, it will no. It's too damn soon. Too damn soon. Jesus. Like how long was Theory US champion? What not what a month? Right?
2 months. He
Two
was
months.
like 2 months, two
Yeah.
months and change.
No.
So at SummerSlam, so far the card shaping up. We do have Lashley against Theory. We have Roman and Brock in the Last Man Standing match. We have the Usos and the Street Profits. We have Ronda and Liv in a rematch for the SmackDown Women's title. We're more than likely gonna get Bianca against either Carmella, Becky, or possibly even both of them in a three-way.
Mhm.
And more than likely, we're gonna get Rollins and Riddle, which I'm definitely
Oh hell!
which should
Oh
be
my
dope.
God!
Which should
Oh,
be mad
we
dope.
have forgotten. Hell, we have forgotten to mention. Why do we forget to mention about that? I have been keeping a keen eye on that, and I love it.
And to think they had beef a couple years ago. Rollins like really legit didn't like him a couple years ago, but they squashed it.
Oh, Jesus! I love that. If there's a hidden gem in that card, Kurt, it's that one.
Oh yeah, I think Rollins is building up a nice little Mr. SummerSlam resume for himself too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've always been said that years ago with his match was with Xena back in 2015, and he had a decent match against Finn Balor the year after.
Hell, the match with Ambrose in 2014, that lumberjack match was also a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was about to mention that too. I forgot about that. That one.
Won the
Let's see
tag titles.
his match against
Him and Ambrose from the tag titles in 2017.
yeah. Mhm. This match in 2018.
Yeah, 2018 he had the match with Ziggler, which was great when he won the IC title back.
Yeah, yeah. He wins the Universal title back in 2019 against Lesnar.
He had the match with Dominic Mysterio 2 years ago, which was good,
Oh yeah, no, I'll never forget that attire that he wore. Brilliant.
and then the match with Edge last year.
Yeah. Hmm.
He's had a nice little resume for himself.
Yeah. I have a good feeling.
What were you gonna
Huh?
say?
No, I have a good feeling this is going to be, in my opinion, the best match of that night. I'm saying the hidden gem.
I think it'll be between that and the Usos and Street Profits. I think those two matches will be the matches to
Oh,
watch.
gotcha.
But one of the things for Money in the Bank that was heavily criticized was some of the mistakes Shotzi Blackheart made during the match. There were like a few noticeable mishaps that she was involved in. And she was
Mm.
very heavily criticized on Twitter for this, to the point where people were demanding that she get fired and that she sucks and that she's horrible. And it was so bad she had to delete her Twitter account.
Lord.
Yeah, she put out a message basically talking about it, basically how like the three things she tries to make sure of after a match is that is everybody safe, did everybody have fun, and did the crowd react. And there were the checks on all three of those, but then just reading all those comments on social media afterwards, it like really put her in a bad headspace.
What exactly happened?
There were like just certain moves that she was doing in the match, like with the ladder involved, where like she clearly, where like it was clear that she messed up, and it was clear that it didn't go the way it was supposed to. Yeah, when you if you go back and watch the match, you'll definitely notice it.
It was accidental, though, right? I mean, these are. I mean,
It was an accident. It was a mistake. It happens. It is what it is. But yeah, just people were like just going to task on her and saying she should be fired and all this bullshit. Yeah, it literally had her in tears. She was literally crying because of how mean some of the comments were.
mm,
And she mentioned also that like she's been having a rough year in addition to that because her dad actually passed away about 6 months ago.
wow. Oh no.
Yeah, and dealing with all this bullshit on top of that, and not to mention how like her run on the main roster has gone so far compared to NXT. I could definitely see that she's been dealing with a lot. Definitely.
No.
Yeah, and all you fucks on Twitter who like to say all this shit to people behind your little keyboard, say all this mean evil shit that you more than likely wouldn't say to their face if they were right in front of you. All I want to say is all of you can eat a fat fucking dick.
Well, when I see this, I'll keep my eyes on it because look, mistakes happen. I'll see for myself, but this stuff like this happens all the time. You know, look, it's no different when somebody makes a mistake at a job, at a regular job. You know what I mean? So
You're allowed to criticize like a specific match or like a specific character on the show that you don't like, but to like take personal digs at them and like wish they get fired or like wish for them to die or for something bad to happen to them, it's like, bro, get the fuck out of here with all that. You have some real mental, psychological issues that you need to deal with ASAP. Being that kind of
bro,
person, saying those kind of things to a fucking complete stranger, what the hell's the matter with you?
right?
And Jericho was opening up about this in like some interviews he
Yes,
was doing over the week. I sent you like a clip of one of it.
yeah, I read that. Yeah, I was just like, dude, he makes a damn good point.
This is what he had to say. Things happen in a match. The fucking word I hate the most that fans use is botch. Oh, you botched that one. Shut your fucking mouth. There is no such thing as a botch. This is a live show. Mistakes happen. Why? Because we are human beings and we're live. If it happens in a hockey game, the fans don't start chanting in unison, you fucked up,
No,
you fucked up. If you go to a Broadway play and someone fumbles their lines, people don't start chanting, you fucked up, you fucked up. You go to a wrestling match and miss a hip toss, people start chanting. That's bullshit. It's fucking disrespectful. And wrestling fans walk the line of being disrespectful. WWE Hall of Fame and people are fucking booing the Bushwhackers for being in the Hall of Fame. Fuck you. So that to me is like, yeah, I love wrestling fans. If there were no wrestling fans, there will be no career of Chris Jericho. But you guys got to keep it in check sometimes and show some respect.
thank you. And may I add, the people who are complaining about that, you guys can't even do the stuff that they're doing in the ring. You got to remember something. They're professionally trained to do that. And yes, mistakes happen. It happens. But that's a good. I loved how he made the analogy how when you go to a hockey game and somebody makes a mistake, the fans will say, "Oh, you effed up." No, we don't do that, and I would know that because I've been to too many hockey games to know that, or any other sporting event, may I add. But yeah, it is a bit stupid and dumb when fans say stuff like that because they're acting like, oh, like how can you, do that? Guys, mistakes happen. You can't even do the stuff that they could do in the ring, even if you tried. So yes, Jericho makes a damn good point when he says that. I rest my case.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said before, you're allowed to like not like a specific match or like a specific character, but when you go to that degree to like really like shit on them and make them feel bad to that degree, then that's wrong.
Right.
And yeah, mistakes do happen. Like especially it being a live show, anything live, you have to expect some at least one thing to go wrong, at least one thing.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's just a
yeah.
part of it's
Yep.
a part of the game.
Yep. And we've seen turnbuckles break off accidentally. You know what I mean? So it happens.
Yeah, and like bro, even if these mistakes do happen, like, is it really that bad where it like ruins the whole match and like ruins the whole show and it ruins your whole freaking night?
No, it doesn't. No. Anything that is broken can always be fixed.
It's like, bro, y'all need to calm the fuck down.
It's spilled milk.
Yes, but Jericho also opened up about the Vince McMahon situation, and this is what he had to say about it.
Ooh.
When you look
Ooh.
at it, it's really not illegal. He had an affair, paid the lady off to not say anything, and moved on. It's almost like okay, and it was a mutual acknowledgement of the affair. He paid the lady to say nothing, and she took the money. I really know Vince well,
Mhm,
and it sucks that happened. It sucks that he did it.
mhm.
But is anything really going to happen from it? I don't think so. Is it morally right? Absolutely not. Is it illegal? No. Is it something that is going to be get him in real trouble? I don't think so.
Interesting. It does kind of do have a point.
But I think he made these comments before the most recent allegations came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were giving Jericho a hard time about what he was saying about the whole botch stuff. They were kind of shitting on him for that.
Oh, they need to shut up. Oh Lord, they can't even do them people complaining can't even do the moves that he could do, especially at that age. So please,
Yeah, Jericho actually lost weight. He had
God.
a he had a health scare like at the end of last year that had him in the hospital, and yeah, he had
Oh
to
yeah, I
actually.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah, I know. I noticed this year he slimmed down. I'm happy for him. Yeah, everybody was making fun of his body and all that stuff, and this, and that. I'm like, bro, he's in his 50s or 50, may I add. But yeah, I'm happy that he, disciplined himself and slimmed down. But still, though, he's still able to perform and still do the moves that he's able to do. And there's people complaining about people making mistakes. Guys, you can't even do the moves that everybody else could do, even if you tried.
Yeah, and that's why whenever I criticize anything about wrestling, it's always something on the creative side. It's never on like the moves they do or if they have any heart or if they have any guts. Like I'll never criticize any wrestler about that.
Better not. Better not.
Like I'll never call them. I'm never gonna call them a pussy or call them or say they have no heart or they have no balls or any of that bullshit. I'll never say that about them.
Right.
The farthest I'll go, like I said, is that if there's a storyline I don't like, or if there's a character I don't like, or if there's a match that's like not really clicking, then I'll say like, "Yo, you know what? I'm not feeling this," and I just keep it at that.
I feel you.
Yeah, and also Jericho was opening up about his time working with China,
Oh,
and basically the
I
whole consensus of this is that he never got enough credit for carrying China back then, like when she was very, in his words, not very good.
I mean, I remember briefly hearing about that because he had talked about that in one of his books, and you read one of them in his Undisputed book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've known about this for a while that him and China didn't really get along and he didn't really like her when they worked together.
No, no, I
But this
remember.
is
I remember.
but this is what he had to say in the interview. She was
Right.
terrible to work with. She wasn't good, but she thought she was.
Oh,
She also was in a position where they were pushing her really big that she could beat up guys. She couldn't. I never got that credit for carrying her. No one ever once said, "You're making her look good." It was the other side of the coin.
yeah, but I mean, he did kind of say the same thing in his book. So Yeah, I know the whole story.
Yeah, but people are coming at him hard for this because they kind of feel like it's messed up of him to say these things about China now that she's dead and that
Well, first of
he's
all,
not coming off well.
was this something like he randomly just brought up, or was this a question that like somebody had asked him this in an interview or something like that?
I didn't hear the full interview, but from what I read in one of the comments, the person brought it up
Okay,
who was
yeah. Well, I
interviewing him.
mean, oh
My whole thing on it is that like he's not saying that like he's happy China died and that he hopes that she rots in hell.
no,
He's
no,
just being honest about his experience with her when he worked with her. I mean,
yeah,
what the hell do you expect him to say?
right,
Yeah, so I don't really fault him for that. He's just talking about his experience with her, and if his experience with her was bad, even if she has passed away since, what the hell do you expect him to say?
right.
There was a recent tweet from Impact's Jordan Grace that centered around Chris Benoit, and this is what the tweet said. This is going to be the coldest take I ever tweet on this app. I already know y'all are going to be mad. I don't think Benoit could 100% hang with most of the present day best wrestlers. He would not be able to remember matches, and may he burn in hell. Amen.
What does that have to do with him not hanging with the current superstars of today?
She just means it in the sense that like wrestling is so much more, I guess, more advanced now than Benoit's era that he wouldn't be able to hang in the
Oh,
current era.
bullshit, bullshit, bullshit,
Yeah, I agree that is a
bullshit.
bullshit take. It was a
Bull,
stupid
that,
take,
that,
and a lot of people
that,
came at her hard over it. No, not surprisingly.
yeah. And you know what this take reminds me of?
What does it remind you of?
I think you just seen it this morning, but I reposted a comment from T Pain about saying about Tupac if he was still alive that he pretty much would lyrically will get ate up by the current rappers
Fuck out
now,
of
and I
here.
took offense to that. I took high offense to that crap. I hate it, and hate is a strong word, Kurt. I absolutely hate it when current rappers are pretty much that's low key like you're kind of like dissing. Like you got to understand something. I'm Tupac and Biggie are like one of those artists that are at that level of like the Beatles, Michael Jackson, and everybody else of the greats. And I'm not saying that Pac and Biggie are like I know there's people that came before them, but they're
And
kind of
after
like the
them,
cornerstone. Yeah, they're like the cornerstone of hip hop when you really think about it. And then when you make that comment, it's kind of like you're dissing them because it's like it shows that you're not really appreciating the work that they did because they kind of like paved the way for these other artists that we have now. And you're gonna say something like that.
I guess that would be
It's
like
very
Kevin.
disrespectful.
I guess that would be like Kevin Durant saying like Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson wouldn't be able to hang in the NBA today, and that I would wipe the floor with them if they played me.
Well, first of all, I don't know if you knew this or not. John Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies said that if he was like around during that time, he said he could. I forgot what he's no what he said exactly, but he's pretty much was saying how he'd be able to take or handle MJ at that time or like beat him. I guess I don't know if you heard that comment.
I didn't hear it, but I'm really glad I didn't. Bro, I'm like,
Yeah,
bro, this dude hasn't proved. This dude hasn't proved anything yet on that level.
no, he has not. And athletically. I'm not. He's very good athletically, very is. But yeah, as you were saying, he hasn't really proven anything. He hasn't. I mean, yeah, they made a playoff appearance earlier this season. That's it.
If Steph Curry made a comment like that or LeBron made a comment like that, I wouldn't agree with it and I wouldn't like it. But at least they would have some credibility in saying those kind of
Thank you,
things.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes,
Yeah, but Jordan Grace's take on Benoit, yeah, I admit it was
stupid,
definitely a stupid take. I did
stupid,
not agree with it at
and
all.
I'm in.
Conan even called
He,
her out on it too. Conan and like people within the wrestling community all shitted on her for what she said,
yeah,
to the point where she had to kind of like go back on it a little bit.
thank you. And look. I'm not completely dissing the work ethic that the wrestlers are putting in the ring work completely. I just like I'm more appreciative, especially that I'm older now. I'm more appreciative of the ring work back then growing up, especially the technical side of it. If you get my meaning.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that, and also I think there was like more of a storytelling aspect to those
Yes.
matches compared to now.
Yes, because I feel like when I watch a lot of these matches now, especially over the past like few years in now, I feel like they kind of they go a little bit too fast where they rush it. And I've said to myself sometimes, come like take your time a little bit. Don't rush it.
And not to mention all the crazy high spots and all the
Yeah,
multiple
stuff.
super
Yeah,
kicks and the kicking out of
yeah,
finishes.
yeah. You don't have to do that, man.
Yeah, the kicking out of finishes shit gets overdone sometimes. Holy shit.
It does. If you want to, I feel like if you want to kick out of a finishing move, do that at a WrestleMania. Don't be doing that at random pay per views. More importantly, don't be doing that on live TV.
Yeah, because honestly, finishes don't even feel as special anymore,
No, they
and that's a
don't.
big reason why.
They don't. Like, if you want to kick out at a finisher, do that at a WrestleMania. And another thing that annoys me, like they'll kick out of the finisher more than once.
Yeah,
If I hit my finisher on you like the second time and you still kick out, it's like, dude, what the hell? Like come on, like like seriously.
yeah. Ricky Steamboat referred to it as pimping out your finish.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but Jordan Grace like gave an apology to like Chris Jericho and Chavo Guerrero and Chris Benoit's son, and Nancy Benoit's sister wasn't very happy about this mainly because of the fact that every time the whole Benoit situation gets brought up, nobody ever brings up her sister Nancy. No one ever like really acknowledges
Hmm.
her, and also specifically the
Oh,
contribution she made to wrestling because Nancy Benoit was a wrestling valet for many years before she was even with Benoit.
right,
Yeah, she was like around in the 80s. She was in WCW for a couple years. She was married to Kevin Sullivan. I'm sure you knew that before she got with Benoit.
right.
Yeah, she was around for a long time. Yeah, she was a valet just like Miss Elizabeth was, just like Sherry was, all those women. And unfortunately,
Wow.
she doesn't really get talked about enough, obviously, because of what happened in the final weekend of her life and all that jazz.
Yeah,
And at first, when I read that tweet from Jordan Grace, I kind of thought when she said that Benoit wouldn't be able to remember half the spots, I thought she was referring to the CTE issues, but I think she was probably referring more to like the amount of spots people do now compared to back then.
yeah. It's just the stuff that they do now, and I'm not taking anything like completely away from from what they're doing now. I just feel like some of the stuff that they do now is kind of like it's not like logical. It's like you're kicking out at finishers, you're doing all these unnecessary high spots and super kicks. Like the super kick is not special anymore because everybody's doing it.
And the DDT
It's like, dude,
and
stop.
the frog
Like,
splash too. I had the frog
yeah,
frog
that's what I
splash under
mean.
that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, like high spots. Like everybody's doing these sunset flips over the top rope when they run out of the ring. I'm like, dude, like what dude, like everybody's doing. Come on,
And the
like
dive to the second rope. Also the dive to the second rope too.
yeah, like I feel like as a wrestler, right? I feel like a sports coach, like a football coach or a basketball coach. Every coach, correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt. Every coach has a different playbook, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's how I feel like how wrestlers should be. You should not be doing the same things that other wrestlers should be doing. Super kicks, sunset flips over the top rope, and like it needs to be different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and more than anything else, like I said before, it needs to tell a story. The story, I believe, is the most
Take
important part of wrestling.
take your time. Don't rush it. I'm telling you right now. Like back then, I told you this before a long time ago. Back then, when I was younger, I really wasn't fully appreciative of the technical wrestling side of matches because I would say to myself, like, man, why are they mat wrestling and all that stuff and get to the point? No, they're trying to take their time and tell the story. And as I gotten older, I just oh my god, like I love this mat wrestling. I love it.
I hear you, yeah, with Benoit, with Brett being my
Eddie,
favorite.
Eddie did
Eddie
it too.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you watch their
Kurt
matches and like what they
Angle.
did. Yes, one of the best of all time.
Yes. Like I loved like I'm sorry, like when I go back to Kurt and Lesnar from WrestleMania, oh my god, I looking back at it now, I love it more than I did back then because I love the fact that how you had their background because they're amateur wrestling background, and I love the fact how these two are coming together, and I love the fact how these two were mat wrestling. That was like the first time that Lesnar mat wrestled. All his other matches, like early in his career, he didn't do that. That was like the very first time that I actually see him like mat wrestle like for a little bit.
Crazy, man. And yeah, the thing with those type of dudes, like with the moves they do and like the things they would do in the ring, it made sense. They didn't do it just for the
Yeah,
sake of doing it. They didn't do a high stock. They didn't do a high spot just for the sake of doing a high spot. They implemented everything they did into their matches because it was a part of the story. And that I feel like in some ways is a lost art in wrestling at times.
it is.
That Jordan Grace mainly made those comments because she's like one of those people who feels that Benoit shouldn't be celebrated and you shouldn't go back and watch his matches or any of that jazz, and you should never say anything complimentary about his wrestling, even if he was a good wrestler, because of what he did in that last weekend of his life. And whatever, that's a prerogative. Obviously, what he did in that last weekend of his life is unforgivable, and you can never look at him the same again. But just me myself personally, and I know a lot of people feel the same. I can still go back and watch his matches. I personally can still go back and watch them.
Me too. It's just like okay, like R. Kelly. I remember when the whole like scandal was going on. I remember people were all like in an uproar, like oh, like are you still gonna listen to his music after all that stuff that he did? And there were some people were like no, but then there was some like you know what, fuck it, I'm still gonna listen to his music.
Yeah, because they have the mentality of separating the art from the artist. And look, I personally don't listen to R. Kelly anymore, mainly because I can't listen to his music now without thinking about all that shit that came out about him.
Especially the ones with Aaliyah. Good lord.
Yeah, those songs with Aaliyah, like "Age Ain't Nothing But a Number" and "My Body's Calling for You," and "It Seems Like You're Ready." Oh my god, "It Seems Like You're Ready" sounds like he's trying to take like a teenage girl's virginity.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I said myself, I personally can't listen to those songs the same anymore.
yeah,
But if somebody else were to tell me that they still listen to R. Kelly, I wouldn't get mad at them over it.
yeah, yeah,
Whatever, it's their prerogative. If they want to, if that's what they want to listen to, that's their business.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Jordan Grace will be posting tweets about past wrestlers and how they're not as good as the new generation anytime
Good
soon.
lord, I better not. That is very similar when the current rapper talking about, well, these whatever. It doesn't matter if it was Pac or Biggie. Any rapper from back in the day, whether it was '90s or late '80s, you were dissing them. That's so disrespectful because you wouldn't be able to hang back then. I just know that
Hell
for a
no.
fact. I just know that for a fact they would not hang. They would not because there was a lot of rappers. Look, back then they were about that life that they rap about. Half of the
Some of them
rappers,
were.
yeah, some like were legit were about that life, and you know that. And I know that majority of the rappers now they rap about, oh, I'm about this. They're really not about that life.
Yeah, they talk about stuff they've never done. They talk about money
Right,
they don't have. Talk about things they don't have.
right.
Yeah, it's insulting.
It is insulting, and majority of the rappers. I think one of the main reasons why I can't keep up with them because majority of them would come out with a hit song, and then I don't hear from them anymore after that.
Yeah, because if you notice the last few years, a lot of these rappers like they don't really have classic albums. They have like a single here and there, but as far as like a classic album from start to finish, even Drake is guilty of that. I think Drake is as big of a star as he is. I was never that big on his albums.
Never, not even take care.
That was one of his better ones, but I'm saying in general, like I can't really think of too many of Drake's albums where I'm like, damn, that shit was such a classic. That's one of the best albums I ever heard. I just
Hmm.
never had that same interest in Drake's albums. He's still great, don't get me wrong, he's still dope, but as far
Oh,
as listening to his full albums, I'm not as high on that
oh,
part
okay,
of his game.
okay. I just like I don't know. Like I hear a hit song, and then after that, it's just like I don't. hear from much from this dude. I'm like, okay, where does this guy go? Compared to somebody back in the day, or just somebody who's just consistent. They'll have a hit song, but they'll stay consistent and they'll move on from there. They'll like, okay, I'm going to drop an album, or I'm going to make this another hit song. You know what I mean? So yeah, it is insulting and offensive because you're not showing proper respect to the people that came before you. You would not be here. The reason why that you here is because you you were appreciative of what came before you.
Yeah, because in the 80s, hip hop was looked at as like a fad that was gonna fade away and that people weren't gonna remember after a while.
Oh
But
wow.
by like the late 80s, early 90s, it was clear that hip hop was here to stay and that this shit was
Oh
not
yeah.
going anywhere.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you have to give credit to people like Run DMC and Slick Rick and Big Daddy Kane, LL Cool
Oh
J,
hell yeah. Oh yes.
and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and all those dudes who were like around
Oh
in
yes.
those early years of hip hop that like before it
Uh,
became what it would become in the 90s.
out of all that group, that early group that you mentioned, I think the top two people who are like my personal favorite is LL Cool J and Big Daddy Kane.
Okay. I've become a big fan of KRS-One in the last few years.
Okay.
Yeah, KRS-One is one of those. And it's so crazy. His style was so different back, like when he first came out, like in 87, 88. Yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
was, the shit he was rapping about, his whole demeanor, he was so different.
Mm,
Yeah, he was a street dude. Yeah, he grew up on the streets.
wow.
He was homeless for a hot minute.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're all most of the rappers during that time, even during the '90s, they were about that life. They weren't just saying it just to be saying it.
Yeah, because you can't compare like KRS-One lyrically to Takashi 6ix9ine. Fuck out of here.
Oh shit! Oh hell no! Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There are like a handful. When I say a handful, I'm talking about like at least five rappers who now it's like, you know what, I like you.
Yeah, J. Cole, Kendrick, Drake, Joey Badass.
Yes, and Joey Badass is finally coming out with a new album later this month. Thank God. Another guy who I the one rapper who I brag too much, and rightfully so, that I brag to everybody, who I tell everybody, like, you need to listen to this guy, is Larry June.
Okay.
Because I tell everybody, I'm telling you, he is so different. It's his beats and his flow is so old school. It's like you're listening to a 90s hip hop song. I'm telling you right now, it's like, oh my god, like what is this? This is so different. It's not like everybody else. He's so underrated. He's not signed on to some big record deal. Thank God he wasn't, because if he was, they'll try to like, oh, you need to do this, you got to do that. I hate that. He is so good to the point. If he had a show, I will go see him.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I'll send you a song. Dude, his flow. I'm very critique on the beats, yeah, but also you have to have that good flow with your beat in your lyrics as well.
Yeah, I remember this line I spit about Vince once. I think you would appreciate
Mm.
that show. Monday Night Raw is now a show you call a joke because that dude Vince is out of touch, and I'm not talking Hall and Notes.
Oh wow,
You get it, right?
I get it.
Yeah, because that
Uh,
group Hall and Oates had that song back in the day called "Out of Touch." You're out of
right,
touch. You're out of touch. You heard that song, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, the name of the group is Hall and Oates, so that's where the reference came from.
Oh God.
All right, but before we get out, let's get into some women's news real fast. Last week was officially Paige's last day in WWE as her contract officially expired, and she put out a
Yeah.
goodbye letter about her whole experience there. And these are some of the things she said. She basically said she was grateful to the current group of female wrestlers in WWE right now, and that everyone seems to have a different idea on when and where the women's revolution started. But to me, it doesn't really matter. And that what matters is that it happened and that women's wrestling is in good hands with the talent on the roster now. And she also addressed like the rough time she was going through, like when she was with Alberto Del Rio and all that stuff was going on.
Yeah.
This is what she said. The truth is, it was easy enough for WWE to get behind me in those early days. I was a young woman who could wrestle at a high level and could cut good promos and move loads of merch. I was probably one of their top assets. You know what I mean? And you don't learn much about people from how they treat you when you're on top. You learn about people's true nature, I found, from how they treat you when you're closer to the bottom. And a few years ago, I got pretty close to the bottom. It was like almost overnight. So many things changed. Suddenly, my neck was fucked and I couldn't wrestle. I popped a drug test. My sex tape leaked. I got depressed. I started drinking, and I became less of an asset to WWE and more of a liability for a long time. I'm sure of it. But they never lost faith in me. They never once threw me off to the side. They got me the help I needed when I needed help, and they gave me the time and space I needed when I needed time and space. They even gave me a full segment on Raw to announce my in ring retirement. I'll cherish that for the rest of my life. Not just getting to make the announcement like I did, but also the respect it showed on WWE's part that they viewed me as worthy of that kind of treatment, the kind normally reserved for an Edge, a Daniel Bryan, or an HBK or a Hunter, that they viewed me as someone who built a legacy on her own. And this is what she said at the end. And in a lot of ways, that story is my time with WWE in a nutshell. It was far from perfect. There were some brutal setbacks, and to be honest, I was a bit of an ass for a couple years. But they always believed in my will to survive and the person I could grow to become. So I wanted to say thanks. And I want to thank you all, truly, anyone who might be reading, from my bosses to my coworkers to my friends to my fans. For the past 11 years, you've let me live out my dreams. More living to come. I'll see you down the road.
Hmm.
Class act. I like what you said a lot in that.
A lot of humility in that speech. You know, acknowledging the fact that, hey, I did some mess up things here, but at the same time, I did put in the work that she did, that she had dreamed about, and saying how like she is thankful. Though at the end of the day, she's thankful, and that's a good thing to say.
Yeah, and I like what you said about how like you learn about what people really think of you and where their loyalty is, not when you're on top and you can do stuff for them, but when you're at the bottom and when you're not as valuable to them. And yeah, like we said before, like I'll always criticize WWE for the things they do wrong and the foul things they do, but I always give them credit when they do things right and they do right by people. And in this case page, I give them props for how they handled the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that like her neck gave her the problems that it gave her and that caused her to have to retire so early. But for the amount
Uh
of
huh.
time she was around, she definitely made a difference, and she definitely was somebody I will always personally remember. Yeah, and and speaking of the women's division, you know what today is?
Uh, what is today?
Today is the 7 year anniversary of the night when Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte all debuted on the main roster.
Oh, 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
When Becky and Charlotte came out and joined forces with Paige, and then Sasha came out
Mm.
and joined forces with Naomi and Tamina. Yeah, that was 7 years ago today.
Oh wow.
I was expecting them to call up maybe one of them at a time. Like maybe Charlotte was the first one they were going to call up. But damn, calling up all three of them at once, I did not see that shit coming.
Wow.
Crazy. It's been 7 years since that happened.
It's gonna be crazy this November though, because it's gonna be 10 years since Rollins and um, Roman made their
Roman.
debuts. Yeah.
Yes, it will be, but it's crazy. Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky have all gone on to main event WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it looks like Sasha's pretty much done, and so is Naomi. And it
Yeah.
came out last week that they're not a part of the internal roster in WWE anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, and also, I heard like a little rumor that tag team division, women's tag team division, may be a little bit in jeopardy.
What tag team division? They haven't even mentioned those belts ever since Sasha and Naomi left, and they made that announcement.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
said they were gonna.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe in jeopardy.
Yeah, they were. They said they were gonna have a tournament or whatever, and we haven't heard a peep about that since
Right. And how long ago was that?
2 months ago. And this is one of the reasons why they
Yeah.
probably walked out because of the way they fucking treat the belts and the way they treat that whole division in general.
Yeah.
And Sasha's already been announced for like her first like autograph session since the walkout. And they mentioned her by her name,
Mm.
Mercedes. They didn't even mention her by Sasha Banks.
Oh,
So yeah, Naomi's pretty much gone more than likely, and Sasha's as good as gone.
dang.
Yeah, it's gonna be a major loss losing both of them, but I mean,
It
it is
is.
what
It
it
is.
it is what it is. I don't fault them for doing what they did. I don't fault them for feeling the way they felt about the whole situation. But it's gonna
No.
suck that they're not gonna be around WWE anymore. It's a major loss.
No.
Major loss.
Wow.
All right, so I think we've said what we needed to say tonight.
We'll see what other news arises from Vince's past. We're getting closer, kind of right. We're getting closer to SummerSlam, and we'll keep you up to date with that news and many more news to come in the world of wrestling. But until then, this is your host, Jonathan Randall, my tag team partner, Kurt Kadek, and we will see you guys later.
Yeah, take care, guys. Have a good week. Stay safe, and we will be here for any breaking news and any gossip or any controversies that come up. Because that's what we're here for. That's what we break you guys off with, and we ain't going nowhere. See you guys next time.